Steve, you know who you are, what qualification, just you want briefly, and start with.
All right, well, good evening. My name is Hanna. I serve as the Chief Deputy Prosecutor in Madison County. I'm a Republican candidate for prosecutor. I grew up here from Anderson. My dad spent almost 40 years with the Sheriff's Department. My grandfather spent almost 25 years with the Anderson Police Department. And my family has served in law enforcement here about every day since 1951. I went to Highland High School. I went to Hanover College. When I was at Hanover, I got on as a reserve in Elmwood. I was there for about 5 years total as a reserve police officer in Elmwood. Went to IU McKinney Law School in Indianapolis. Working through there. Right after law school, I went to do a 2-year clerkship with the Indiana Court of Appeals. And right after that came to the prosecutor's office. I was hired as a deputy prosecutor. I started there with level 6 felonies. I moved to a major felony role. And then Rodney Cummings, who's the current prosecutor of Madison County, in his 28th year. At this point, he asked me to be his chief deputy prosecutor starting January 1, 2021. So this would be I'm in my 6th year as the chief deputy prosecutor. As chief deputy in the past 6 years, we've got a lot of progress, a lot of innovation with the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. We secured one of what are 10 high-tech crime units across the state of Indiana. We have a high-tech crime unit that we partnered with the Anderson Police Department that serves 5 counties. And what that has been really groundbreaking for our office, but also the prosecutor's office across the state of Indiana, because as you can imagine, evidence in cases has changed dramatically over the past 20 years or so. I joke that some old, particularly with Rodney, sometimes a long time ago, trials were half a fingerprint, a hunch, and a small case file. That's not the reality that we face anymore. We have we have to do Facebook search warrants, Instagram, all kinds of social media, cell phone extractions is a massive amount of data for us. And body cams, I think that they have been a great asset for policing and transparency and accountability with the public, but it creates a lot of discovery for a prosecutor's office. So what we have to go through has changed dramatically, and what we have to review, turnover, and discovery. Discovery just means those things. Everything that we get, we have to turn over to the defense. And so it's added a large burden to prosecutors' offices over about the past 20 years. But that high-tech crime unit has really turned around our ability to extract the cell phone from what used to take 8 to 10 months through the Indiana State Police. We can turn that around in 3 to 5 days through our own high-tech crime unit. So it's really an important thing for us to be able to work investigations, for us to complete our discovery faster, and that's something that's been a real value for our office that we've received in the past few years. Also, we've secured the only contract in the state of Indiana with the Office of the Inspector General Social Security Administration. We got 2 investigators that we signed that contract a couple of years ago. They approached us and said, we like working with the Madison County Prosecutor's Office because we're addressing with these fraud cases that they brought us over the years. And we have 2 investigators that now work the entire state of Indiana for beneficiary side disability Social Security. And they are 2 of only 3 investigators in the entire state of Indiana. When you think about the amount of money that's being paid out in Social Security disability, absolutely no issue with anybody that's entitled to receive that. But there are people, obviously, as you can imagine, that try to fraudulently obtain or receive Social Security benefits, and that's what those investigators work with. Also, since 2022, I served as the elected chair of the Madison County Community Corrections Advisory Board in our local JRAC, which is a Justice Reinvestment Advisory Council. And those institutions, one oversees our community corrections program here in Madison County, and we've made a lot of progress with changing how kind of our work release center is operated, what the capacity of that is. We've cut down on a lot of the failure returns, a lot of escape charges that we've had to file outside of there. And then our Justice Reinvestment Advisory Council really serves as a new hub for investment through grants and things like that through the state of Indiana. It's really a great system for us. The sheriff and the members of the criminal justice system who get together consistently and attack these problems from shared information and from having these conversations, and so I'm proud to be part of that. Through these past 6 years, we've maintained, Madison County is about the 13th highest in population in the state of Indiana. There's 17 counties with a population over 100,000. Every year, we're right around 7th, 8th, 9th or so in terms of felony violence. We face a real criminal justice challenge here in Madison County. That is a reality that I don't think is news to any of you. What we are proud of is the amount of accountability that we get out of the Madison County criminal justice system. I think that's because we have a very aggressive prosecutor's office. We have wonderful law enforcement here in Madison County. We also have judges that are willing to hold people accountable. And that, unfortunately, is not the case in other counties across the state of Indiana. And so through that time, and for about the past 10, 12 years, we've had the highest, what is the highest per capita DOC rate, which is a consequence of both a challenging criminal justice environment and accountability. That's what we do at the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. We've maintained an 85% conviction rate at trial, which compared to the national average from the Bureau of Justice Statistics is about 68%. So we've been successful at trial, and we're very proud of that. Through that time, I've maintained a personal conviction rate of about 95%. For known murder cases, I've tried over a dozen murder cases and another dozen or so other different types of trials between drug dealing, child molest cases, rape cases, every type of major felony case. I personally tried at court, and want to talk just briefly. Where am I at on time? I apologize.
We got about 3 minutes.
Got about 3 minutes. I'll talk very quickly about what my 4 priorities are. If I'm fortunate enough to serve as the next prosecutor of Madison County. One is to maintain the great work that our offices has had over the past several decades. And first and foremost, we will support our law enforcement partners. As a previous law enforcement officer myself, and growing up in a family that has dedicated their lives to law enforcement in this community, police officers in this county will never have to worry about what side I'm on. We will double down on violent crime and make better use of the habitual offender enhancement in terms of removing violent offenders from our community for as long as possible. They are kind of 2 types of crime, kind of 2 buckets broadly that I look at. Typically, as criminal offenders, drug abuse, stuff like that, we can get them into problem-solving court. We have a very expansive, very good problem-solving court here in Madison County. That shows a lot of progress and how we get them the assistance they need. And then the other bucket of offenders, we're talking about sex offenses, violent crimes, is simply removing them from the community for as long as possible. I do not view a prosecutor as being a social engineer. We are guardians of public safety. That's our first and foremost obligation to the people who are police. We're going to protect the most vulnerable. That is just simply our moral obligation as a prosecutor. And we will do that by expanding. I've created our first special victims unit. We've expanded our prosecution and our resources between Kids Talk, Child Advocacy Center, and these other different resources for these types of crimes. We're going to expand them broadly and continue to be a very successful prosecutor's office where it deals with crimes against children and our most vulnerable victims. And also, I think the thing that I'm the most excited about is the fact that we will be able to increase our accountability when it comes to lower level crime. That is one thing that I will be the first to admit to you that we have not done a good job with in previous years. And the biggest challenge with that has always been the extent of jail overcrowding that we've experienced in Madison County. And I don't think the public understands just the extent to which that the entire system has had to work together to reduce our jail population numbers, not just in the Madison County Jail, but community house and other counties. And there are times with people, I'm not talking about their first misdemeanor offense or their second, but we have people that have committed 10, 15, 20 misdemeanors. And you cannot tell me that they do not deserve a jail sentence for these types of crimes. Even if it's just persistent habitual behavior, you have to sit down. And we're going to do a better job of holding those offenders accountable with the resources that we have in Madison County. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I look forward to answering your